Wrestling with Depression. Hello and welcome to Some Assembly Required, our podcast here at Wainfleet BIC Church, where we discuss life through the lens of our Anabaptist roots. My name's Julie Adams, and I'm joined by Pastor Brandon Claveau.
Hi,
Welcome.
Julie.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. We are together again at the very end of a series. It's gone by quickly, I would say.
Yeah.
Just kind of one after the other as we get ready for summer. So we've been through, I don't know if you have them all in your head. I'm not sure I could list all of the wrestlings that we went through.
Not in my head, but I have them in front of me.
Oh, you're one step ahead of me.
We can list them if you like.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
remember wrestling with God was the
Wrestling
first
with God,
week.
wrestling with anger,
Anger.
wrestling with suffering, wrestling with doubt, wrestling with grief, grudges, loneliness, and then this past Sunday was depression.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
A
Quite
lot of
this
fun the past 8 weeks.
spring series. Yeah. It's interesting how every week, I don't know about you, but I could certainly relate to something.
Oh, sure.
Every week.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I felt like that. I felt like that. I felt like that.
Yeah.
So yeah. And, so you talked about depression.
I did.
It's good.
Yeah. I sort of cheated because kind of through this series we were having, most of us would have somebody come up and kind of share
Yeah.
their story. But it just so happened that the 2 Sundays I got were things that I had some personal experience with.
Yeah.
So I just sort of cheated and kind of
used
talked
yourself.
about my own experience with
Yeah.
doubt first of all, like a few weeks ago, and then the depression this time. And so it's kind of nice actually. It kind of gives maybe more license than usual as a speaker to talk about my own journey and my own experiences. And I personally, like, I really, it's really important to me that those of us who are up in front of the church, who are in positions of leadership, to be, transparent in a healthy way, and to use our experiences to try to help people. So I was happy to get this subject. And then this is also sort of a series where we were talking about Old Testament
Right.
figures for the most part. So I talked about Jeremiah and Elijah and Job, all of whom, at least at one point or another, are depicted as going through like a pretty major crisis of despair or depression. I mean, Jeremiah is known as the weeping prophet.
Yeah.
And so each of these people who are they're all faithful, followers of God. They're prophets. They're there trying to do the will of God. And so all of these people, despite that, also have these seasons of pain. So I thought that was really interesting that they're all, they're sort of heroes of the
Yeah.
of the Old Testament, but that they still experience these things. So their faithfulness didn't prevent them from, going through this depression. And so for me, that's a source of encouragement. I mean, it's sort of a double-edged sword because, it means that even the most devout of us are, we could possibly go through,
Yeah.
whatever the thing is. In this case, it's depression, but it's also encouraging.
Yes.
And one thing that I really wanted to stress in this message was that if you are going through a season of depression, it doesn't mean that you've lost faith. It doesn't mean that God has abandoned you. Yeah, it's really difficult, but you're in good company.
Yeah.
And so I also talk about some of these figures and how they respond to it.
Yeah.
So I forget if all three do, but for sure Elijah and Job, they talk to God about it. I mean, in the book of Job, like he's pretty honest with God about
Yeah. How he's feeling.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes through like some stuff.
Oh yeah.
The whole point of the book of Job is like, will this person continue to be righteous if God takes everything away? And he does. But in the course of that, Job is still he's honest with God. Like he doesn't hide his feelings. He doesn't hide how painful things are, and Elijah too. And so both of them, it doesn't pull them away from God. They're honest with God about it, and God is there for them. Elijah in particular, I think is really cool. You know, he's in a difficult spot, and like the thing with Elisha and Jeremiah, their suffering seems to have come from their being prophets.
Yeah.
Like being a prophet clearly was not a fun calling.
No.
So that it really looks like that was the cause of their, their depression.
Yeah.
So Elijah goes off to be by himself in the desert and sits under a tree, and like Jeremiah and Job, basically says like, God, just kill me now. I'm done with this. I've had enough. Like, just I want to die.
Yep.
But God doesn't do that. God sends a messenger to care for Elijah, and the first thing he does, I think, is fascinating. He gives Elijah a snack, basically.
Yeah.
He gives him some water, gives him some bread, and is like...
tells him to have a nap.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, how realistic is it? Like,
yeah.
So many of us, those are really important things that we need.
And they often fall by the wayside if you're feeling depressed or out of sorts, or you've got like some kind of emotional turmoil.
Yeah.
Those are sometimes the things that get neglected, right?
Yeah. And on both ends. Like it could be, you could be sleeping all the time. You could be eating way too much. Stress eating. That's probably more my thing is to eat too much.
But I wonder if back in those times it was not. Maybe it was just different time.
Yeah, sure. So God shows up for Elijah, I want to make sure I said that right, in this really dark time. And he doesn't give Elijah what he asks for. He doesn't kill him. What he actually does is give him things to provide life. So it's like, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to give you what you need for life, and then I'm going to strengthen you to endure this. And so that to me is the big takeaway from all of this, is that whatever we're going through, whatever we're wrestling with, really, to look at the whole series, like God might not take it away, but God will be there
through it
with us in the midst of it. And I mean, on one hand, it's a small comfort because it means we still have to go through it, but it's also a big encouragement because it means there's nothing we can experience where God isn't there. Yeah.
Nice. And how about Jesus? You mentioned that you talk about Jesus too.
Yeah. So the Jesus part is, it's interesting. It's really powerful. Jesus, the night before, he's going to be crucified. Like he knows, at least on some level, he knows what's coming. Like he knows his death is imminent. So he goes off to pray, and I love the honesty of his prayer. Like he prays to the Father, which in some weird way is also himself. Right? Yeah, I don't know how that works.
That's okay. You're not supposed to know how it works on earth. Don't worry about it.
I don't think anyone's supposed to get that. But he prays for it to be taken away.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want to have to go through this.
Would you?
No. This crucifixion is one of the most horrendous ways. Like, it was designed to kill people painfully and slowly. And so, Jesus asks, like, if there's any way to not have to go through this, like, I would like to not have to go through this. But then he says, but not my will, but yours be done, or whatever exactly he says. And it's like he prays honestly for God to take this away, and he prays like he's in a how do I describe this? I mean, it's despair. Like he's in agony. He's sweating blood. Like it's just insane. What he's enduring in this moment. So in that despair, he cries out to God, like, please take this away. But, if it's your will, like,
I'll do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
And then it talks about, God strengthens him. Mm-hmm. And so, God the Father strengthens the Son to endure, the suffering in the moment, the emotional and spiritual suffering. But then, he also strengthens Jesus to endure the physical agony of the next day. And so I think for us, what this really points to is, like we talked about, Jesus is God. And so Jesus knows what we experience. Like, Jesus knows physical pain. Jesus knows emotional pain. Jesus knows depression and despair. And I'm not an expert on this, but how many other religious systems out there, have a God who cares so much about the people that God has created, that God is willing to become a human and experience like the whole spectrum of things that humans experience, with including all of the darkness and all of the pain. So for anyone who is in a season of depression or despair or whatever it might look like, Jesus knows. Like, Jesus has been there. So how much more encouraging is it to know that the God you worship understands firsthand what it is to feel those things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert either, but I think you're right. This it's unique. Yeah.
So that God also will strengthen us to get through it, even if taking it away isn't in the cards as much as we would all.
So get through doesn't equate taking it away. Is that what you're saying?
It might not.
Huh.
Yeah.
I was hoping you were going to say otherwise.
That doesn't seem to be the pattern.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Jesus is with you. Yes. Yeah. I guess that's the big takeaway.
Yeah.
Whether it's wrestling with depression or any of the 7 other things that we talked about, or all of the other things that we didn't talk about. Yeah. That people wrestle with, like Jesus knows what that's like, and he will strengthen us and help us to get through whatever it is.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you have any closing encouragement for us as we wrap up?
I mean, for anyone who is in a season of depression, I would say, well, first seek help. Talk to somebody about it, pray about it. Ask God to come into that, but do not deal with it on your own. You can't deal with it on your own, and there are people out there to help, and you want to help you.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If you have any questions or you need resources, we have a section on our website that we can direct you to some resources. We have a bunch of webinars on our YouTube channel on mental health on various topics. That's a good spot to start. Or please reach out to either the church office or Pastor Brandon, any of our pastoral staff. We could help direct you to a resource that you might want to take advantage of. But if you need to get in touch with Pastor Brandon, you can reach him at brandon@waynefleetbic.com. My email address is julie@waynefleetbic.com. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to kicking off our summer series next week. Have a great week.